Hey YouTube, here's Heiko. I thought it's time for me to give you another update on my house remodel. I just jumped out of my Tyvek suit and took my respirator off. Today was a pretty busy day. Let me just show you what we have done since my last video, which was like video 15 or so, or part 15. I've worked a week, 7 days in a row, where I didn't do anything at the house. But we had some hired drywallers that did some drywalling. They're not quite done yet. And I have since completed my work week. I'm back at home and I am working on the remodel again. So let me show you around. So here we go. This is the sunken room, if you remember, the step down. This is going to be the office, the den, whatever you want to call it. There's the front entrance. So if you recall, there was a step down and here was a big wall and there was a little step down and the room was larger. So drywall is up here in this room, kind of patched in with old drywall. Remember, here's my network wall that I didn't want to take down. So they have installed drywall and started mudding and taping, or mudding and taping is more or less complete, and now we just have to do the finishing touches and sanding. We used to have popcorn ceiling here in the office. In a previous video I had shown or explained a very complicated, convoluted way of removing popcorn ceiling with house encapsulation and all craziness. I have decided to go a little bit of a simpler route. I don't want to show this in a video because I don't want to tell people this is the way you should do it. I just decided to go a little simpler route. I put up plastic, put plastic on the floor, I put myself in a Tyvek suit and put a respirator on, and then I use a lot of water, spray the popcorn ceiling down, scrape it, spray on top of the stuff that falls down so there is really absolutely no dust in this room. And then right after I put a layer of primer over it to bind it all together, whatever is left on the ceiling, and then I call it good, and then I skim coat over it, and that's pretty much it. And so this here is just after scraping with primer on it. So skim coating is what this other room looks like. So in an attempt to do it the proper way, we had scraped popcorn ceiling here in this room. That was months ago, and I actually made a video about it and how complicated it was and how painful this was. And since I have decided I'm not going to do that anymore, and then since we kind of combined the scraped room with an unscraped room, I had to remove popcorn ceiling here in this half. You can see a line in the middle. So this is white paint and this is just skim coat. So you can see the line in the middle. This is what I scraped off, and then I have since put 2 layers of skim coat on it. Yeah, it's a lot of manual labor. I use universal joint compound, a white blade, and just patience to even this all out. The problem here is that under our popcorn ceiling there is not just plain drywall, but we actually have plaster under there. Our house was equipped with ceiling heating, and so they laid heating elements in a layer of plaster on the ceiling here. And this plaster is, yeah, it's a cement-based product that's really hard and it's not removable. You would destroy the drywall if you would try to remove it. So after scraping of the popcorn ceiling, plaster is still there and it's relatively uneven. You can see a couple waves in there, and I'm just trying to even this out. And then eventually I'm gonna just give up and accept that my ceilings are never gonna be perfect. And then we're gonna put a modern layer of orange peel texture on it and then call it good. But yeah, so all the rooms have since been drywalled, mudded and taped, and the screw holes have all been mudded over, and now we're at the point where there's going to be a lot of sanding going on. Of course there's always a better way of doing drywall, in a better way of taping and mudding, but I think the outcome is going to be acceptable for us. And this is all going to be textured afterwards. Well, what I probably will do to even out the playing field here a little bit, since you have paper and then you have joint compound, and paper and joint compound, they accept paint differently. So a friend of mine, Mark, my contractor friend, he recommended that everything gets primed before I put texture on it to kind of seal the surface and give it an even adhesion promoter, which is the sealer primer. And then we're gonna put texture over it. Here's also still old drywall. This is where all the wiring runs. Here's a circuit breaker panel. So I'm gonna skim coat over this to make it smooth and flat just like the rest. And then we're gonna texture this again. But yeah, so far so good. We're getting there. Once we have texture here on the wall, then we can start painting, then we can start trimming, then we can think about flooring. Since this is gonna be used as a bedroom, this is most likely gonna get carpet. Since the other room here is gonna be our guest bedroom, this is also gonna have carpet. Yeah, so that's going to be relatively simple. And then we still have to do more electrical. We have to install tamper-proof outlets. And if I'm not completely mistaken, we even have to change the circuit breakers. Currently there are 20 amp circuit breakers in there, and we have to change them over to arc fault interrupting circuit breakers. That it's kind of a combination of just a load limiting circuit breaker and an arc fault interrupting device. You can also get GFCIs, so ground fault circuit interrupters, in form of a circuit breaker, but I think new building code requires that in living rooms or bedrooms or whatever, you have to have arc fault interrupters. That is pretty much avoiding any kind of ignition source. So when you have a vacuum cleaner running and someone walks over to the outlet and pulls a plug out, in a normal circuit you would have a little bit of a arc going on, and the arc fault interrupters, they prevent that from happening. So anyways, this is what we have done so far. Drywalling is coming along, and my scraping and skim coating for the last 2 days is coming along. So tomorrow I'm going to start skim coating this room here once the primer has all completely dried. I still need to patch in a hole in the ceiling. You know what, guys, I actually have a camera light and I don't know why I'm not using it. Yeah, look at that now. So yeah, there's an old hole where the center of the room was, and then we moved the light fixture over there. Of course I sprayed primer all on the wires. That's kind of not very good, but you know, I think it's gonna be okay. And I need to patch this up before I start skim coating. But yeah, this looks all pretty good, and all the schmoo is contained in there. One big bag. I use a lot of painter's plastic on floor and walls. You see the blue masking tape up there. This is how high I put painter's tape all the way around the room to really close it off from the rest of the house. And then I just spray the snot out of that stuff and then scrape. Usually I have to stand on a ladder with a short scraper blade. I think I used a 6-inch, 8-inch blade, a really stiff blade to actually get this off, because the plaster underneath the popcorn ceiling is so rough that if you just have one of those soft flexible scrapers with a long stick, you just constantly get stuck and you don't really make any progress. So I have one of those benches, one of those, whatever, over there, 2 feet tall, a few feet long, so you can walk left and right and you know, make some progress, and then you just have to constantly move it along. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and I think sooner or later we're going to do the rest of the house. So there's still popcorn ceiling down the hallway, popcorn ceiling in the dining room, in the living room, but I'm not going to start that until these rooms here are completely completely completed, and we can move furniture from living room, dining room over into those rooms here. But yeah, it's going to happen eventually. Alright guys, so that's update. I don't know, outside since the last video I don't think anything has changed. Let me go check real quick. I think you guys have seen siding and trim. We did a little bit more trimming here over our little entrance deck, entrance porch. And yeah, the trim is all on. I haven't done any caulking or painting or anything. It's just how we left it last week when I had to go back to my day job. But at least it's all completed. Now really just running around with a caulk cartridge and just, you know, filling it all in and then making it look pretty with paint. But we do have quite a roof overhang, so rain usually doesn't hit the wall, so the primed siding is going to survive for a little while. Alrighty guys, it's getting late and the video is getting long. You guys hang in there. If you like, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Take care. Bye.